It's Friday, January 20th. I want to talk to you a little bit about technology today. I worked in technology for over 40 years, but I was not on the physical side of technology. I'll call it like the mental side. My job was to develop computer systems that did the work for people to make people's lives easier. So the inner workings of a computer, while I understood the process globally, I never really paid attention to the bits and pieces that were inside each computer. I knew the buttons to push. I knew how to create the best possible solution for my clients. I figured out the way to get the best out of their computers using a computer. But I really never cared much about the physical activities that went on in a computer. And why am I saying this? I'm saying this because I've seen articles about the semiconductors that drive computers and cars. Well, they don't drive cars, but they drive the mechanisms that make cars automatic. They have a lot of power. Semiconductors have a lot of power in the world. So given that fact, it disturbs me when I see articles that say, how come the United States is not a semiconductor giant? And I'll tell you how come. Because we gave away that business. We gave that business to China, basically not physically to China proper, but to Taiwan. And we gave it to other countries in the world, mainly in the Asian populations. I believe beyond Taiwan there are some semiconductor manufacturing sites in Korea and other places. But Taiwan is the world's major semiconductor manufacturer. And Taiwan, as I'm sure that you all know, is under heavy attack by China. And China keeps threatening to take over that independent nation. It's not really a nation. What is it? An independent subdivision of China? An independent state? Something like that. Anyhow, Taiwan is an independent government. And that upsets the Chinese right now. And it makes the rest of the world vulnerable to China's view of what Taiwan really is. China believes that Taiwan belongs to them and that they should be doing whatever China wants them to do. But that's not the way it is right with what Taiwan manufactures for the rest of the world. And that is basically most of the high-level semiconductor chips available. Now, chips are everywhere. Without them, many of us won't be able to work. We can't operate our smartphones. We can't drive our cars. We can't guide our missiles. And we can't do a lot of other things. Maybe even your microwave oven and stuff like that is driven by these chips. And Xi, the dictator from China, has made it very clear that Taiwan belongs to China. And he wants to control most of those cutting-edge chips. There is no question in my mind that he wants to do that. And the tensions over that claim are very high. And then the U.S. has responded to this in what may be one of its largest exercises into the private sector since World War II. The U.S. is hoping to recreate America's production of cutting-edge chips. But have we fallen too far behind in the technology? Have we not kept up with it? So those are big questions in the minds of many in the United States. Will this plan of recreating an industry that we basically should have owned from day one work? Will it work to recreate this industry? So for those of you who may not know this, American scientists invented transistors, and that's the major component in chips. And they invented those transistors right after World War II. And we dominated that industry with its design and production of semiconductors as they became smaller and smaller and more powerful. We dominated that industry, and we let it get away from us. And we let it get away from us because we could make more money by farming it out. And that's a major shanda, a major black mark on us. Because the corporations that were controlling this thing just gave away this technology essentially so that it could be produced at a cheaper prices. So they gave away good jobs that Americans could have used to have a solid middle-class income just to make more money and put this in the hands of nations that would manufacture this far below the cost of manufacture in the United States. And now there are those out there who are saying we should be very happy that Congress passed the CHIPS and Science Act, which among other things will provide $52 billion for investment in facilities as well as for more research and development on an industry that we should have owned from day one. So we give away the store, and now the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, the world's biggest maker of advanced computer chips, is about to build a major plant in Phoenix, Arizona. And they announced that its investment there will be around $40 billion. And Intel has announced plans for a $20 billion facility outside Columbus, Ohio. And Micron is building a fab. That's F-A-B. That's what chip manufacturing sites are called, fabs. And they're building this complex in Syracuse, New York. And Global Foundries is expanding in New York and Vermont. And Samsung is considering the construction of 11 facilities in Texas. So we are in a rush to catch up because we recognize that if Taiwan falls into the total influence of China, our economy will disappear, I'm sure. We'll have a major threat to our economy. So these things are great, but we should recognize that there are challenges. And these new facilities are just a tiny first step, because the output of these facilities will only amount to a small percentage of what Taiwan has already manufactured. So have we fallen so far behind that we will never catch up? That is a mystery that remains to be solved. But at least I think it's taking a certain amount of pressure off of us by starting to get back into an industry that we should have owned from day one. But right now, if we don't pull this off, we will not be in great shape in the future. So I leave you with those thoughts today. Have a great day. Bye.